It's what we do, folks, every Tuesday with the Wholesome One right here on the Voice of College Football, the U, 1:15 Eastern. We appreciate you being here every Tuesday. Please tell folks that this is the place to be every Tuesday afternoon, 1:15 Eastern time with the Wholesome One. Bring those comments and questions. We will get to them as we break down Miami football. Of course, there's a game against Washington State in the Sun Bowl in beautiful El Paso, Texas, but more so recruiting to talk about. Wholesome One, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well today, man. It's always a good day to be a Cane. It's been pretty positive around our program, and that's a complete 180 from a couple months ago. So we're very excited about the growth of this program and projecting into the future. But we're getting some instant return on investment from the big investment in Coach Cristobal. And over the last 3 to 6 weeks, it's been a complete 180, and we're really happy about that.
So let's go particulars, specifics, and then we'll go big picture in regards to what impact Coach Cristobal's had on the recruiting front. So Jaleel Skinner,
Yep.
An enormous pickup.
Yeah, huge
from Alabama.
Huge. Yeah, and that doesn't happen. You know,
and
a lot of the Bama guys are like, "Oh, well, we didn't want him," and that's okay. That's all right. Hey, listen, either way, you pick Miami. So we could argue whether you want to keep him, whether you cut him off, whether you kept him at arm's length because they already had another tight end committed anyway. So he had been very vocal, Mark, very vocal about the fact that the University of Miami was his lead going into the season, and that because of the season and that we were having, he was going to go make the business decision and go to Alabama because we gave him no reason to want to come here based on what we were putting out on as a product. And I mean, heck, he even talked about how Will Mallory, the first half of the season, tight ends weren't playing well at Miami. And then, Will Mallory went on a nice little stint for the rest of the season, hopefully carrying that into this bowl game next week, Friday, against Washington State. But super excited about that. And, it's one of those things where you just get excited and you're happy about where we're going. And Skinner is a big-time mismatch. We watched film on the channel last night, a nice breakdown of him because I hadn't seen any film on him. And to be honest with you, he's such a good player. I didn't even want to go there because I'm like, he's not coming here. So there's no need for me to get excited watching this film. And we were only able to pull up his junior film. We hadn't get a chance to see his IMG Academy film. It's not on his huddle. And that's all right. He's already signed, still delivered. He'll be an early enrollee, and he'll be on January 15th. He'll be on Miami's campus. So there's that. So, man, big dude, Mark. Big dude, all of 6'5", 6'6", all of 200 plus. Route running, his speed, his acceleration. You could see a little bit of a David Njoku in him, but a little bit more of Jimmy Graham. I mean, he's just a big mismatch target for the QB, and we're going to be breaking in, of course, the second-year starter in TVD if everything goes well, blesses on his health. And if anything were to happen, we'll be breaking in a younger person. And what's one of the most important things to a QB besides pass protection? A young quarterback, a great tight end. He's closer to you. He's usually a mismatch. He's bigger for linebackers and too strong for safeties and big for them. So he's usually a really good matchup across the middle of the field or one-on-one with linebackers. So getting Skinner is a big pickup, and I think they're going to be way more coming down the line here in the next couple of weeks for a return on investment from the big investment we have in Coach Cristobal, both on the football field with recruits and off the football field with the coaching staff.
So much like you trying to dig up video of him this past football season, if you try to dig up stats on him for this past football season, and I actually posted a video when he was signed, you got to go back to the previous football season. So his two previous football seasons, 2019 and 20, 30 catches, 511 yards, and 6 touchdowns at about, they're telling us 25 yards per catch.
I'll take that.
For a tight end.
I'll take that. And that's a good thing. It's a good, and the thing is, what you see in his film as a junior before he went there is he's been mixed up all around the field. He's played some X, he's played some Y, he's played some slot. But you also saw whoever put his highlight tape together did a very good job, because there's the bomb plays or there's the Moss plays where he's jumping over. But then he also has a section of pure blocking, Mark, where he's coming in and he's motioning across and whamming on a defensive end. He's taking a linebacker head on, one-on-one, and moving them out of the gap so the running back can cut off of his behind. They did a great job of putting it together. And he seems like more of a complete tight end than the people we've had in the past, like a David Njoku or Jimmy Graham or Clyde Walford, where they are more of just receiving threats. He seems a little bit more balanced, similar to a Christopher Herndon, who's still playing in the National Football League right now, because he is a balanced tight end. He's not just a one-trick pony. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. And you're able to match him up. And Mark, to be honest with you, we missed on a big-time tight end prospect in Darnell Washington, who picked Georgia a couple years ago. And a lot of people were like, this is what we need as far as someone who's going to maul people off the ball, who we can mix in with the Will Mallory, we can mix in with a Brevin Jordan. And it didn't go in that direction. He went somewhere else. This is a recruiting battle that we ended up winning with. In all honesty, we need a big-time tight end, because you got Will Mallory, who's agreed to come back for a season. Elijah Arroyo is still a young pup growing. Dominique Memorelli isn't really, life-changing. Either is Larry Hodges, and Caleb Broughton, to Miami Northwestern tight end, is still a young pup. So if we could bring somebody in who can change the game from the size of the mismatches, which we did with Skinner, I think it's a big-time gift for Miami.
Before we get to a recruiting loss, near and dear to your heart, we got a deep tackle from USC, Jacob Lichtenstein, who's moving in here. I got to admit, I don't know a whole lot about him. I got to say, I didn't really watch USC play any football. There was no reason for any of us to be watching USC play this last year. They just, for as much as they've been wasting talent for about 10 years, at least they've been fielding good teams. This team was awful. So I'm usually watching a lot of USC football, but so I didn't see them. But he turned in a pretty productive 12 games. D-tackle, the stats are what they are. You can't completely read into the stats, especially at that position, but 28 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. So he should be able to come in and contribute.
Yeah, I think so. That size is something that we're going to need. Now, the question is, Mark, based on who we're bringing in and who we've been recruiting, is this a tall tale sign of a 3-4 scheme to come? Here's why I say that. You look at Cyrus Moss, borderline 5-star edge rusher out of the West Coast for Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's a stand-up outside linebacker. And Miami was top 5. We believe, of course, we're Miami fans, so we're going to think that he's coming here. We think we're in the top 2 conversation, a split between us and USC. Okay. We also signed Najee Kelly, who's a strong side defensive end, but in a 3-4 would be a great scheme fit for a 4-eye technique. We're fighting hard with Georgia with Shamar Stewart, who is another big, strong, stout at the point of attack defensive end who could be the other 4-eye technique. And then you signed this 6'6", 275-pound dude out of USC who could come in and give you a little bit of the reps of that 4-eye, and maybe on passing downs come in as a shade 1 in that 34. So I'm just saying, Mark, it's starting to give a little bit of a tip of the cap to maybe where we're going to go, and we'll see. At the end of the day, we'll scheme. You have to be diverse in your whole approach. This is how the game is nowadays. But you look at how hard we're going after Cyrus Moss. Well, you turn on that film, Mark, and they run a 3-4. He's a stand-up guy. I don't see his hand in the dirt in either of the 2 seasons that we watched on film. So, and then to try to turn him into a true 4-3 defensive end, it's a different read. It's different keys. But you watch that guy Cyrus Moss play, and he's dropping back in alley flats. He's taking on slots. He's rushing the passer out of a wide 9. I think it's a little bit of what we call foreshadowing in the movie industry. foreshadowing going into what we're going to be moving forward defensively.
And then we've got Marcus Banks, who's moving on to Mississippi State, who was a possible get but didn't come through.
Right. We all thought, and supposedly he had told the staff he's coming to Miami. So these things happen. And yeah, you have the Twitter people who are like, oh, these fake insiders. It's not about being a fake insider, man. These people make decisions. You never know what goes into these decisions. And it, it just blows my mind how people think that they're going to get some kind of clout by down talking you because you were wrong about something. So that means you're ignorant and you're stupid. Yeah. It's like, no, man, we made a prediction and we thought that he was going to come to Miami. I mean, he had plenty of crystal balls to Miami and everything. So we were all thinking he was going to come to Miami. And he's from Texas. So I thought he was from Mississippi. And maybe that's the reason why he went back home. But he's actually from Houston, Texas. So I don't know if it's any close. If Houston's any closer to Miami, then it would be going to Mississippi State. So a lot of people say that maybe they threw the bag at him and big NLI deals in the SEC. Hey, it is what it is. I'm confident that Coach Cristobal and T-Rob, excuse me, are going to go out and find us this cornerback help that we need, Mark, because it is one of the lowest graded. I'm not a pro football focused guy, but it's really hard to watch cornerback play at Miami. Cornerback, linebacker, quarterback up until recently was really hard to watch that play and to watch it go down at Miami. So we'll see. And I think the cornerback help is on its way, whether it be from a freshman, whether it be from transfer. I think we're going to have some help on the way here soon.
Those ignorant, incompetent, unknowledgeable people at 247 Sports, they also had a 100% crystal ball for Marcus Banks to Miami.
It's crazy, isn't it?
As I often tell people that jump on me for missing a prediction or for being incorrect with something that I projected, I said, if you're looking for the perfect person out there, you might as well shut down the internet today. Just do it immediately because you're not going to find that person.
You'll never find
that source that's right all the time.
You'll never find them. Never.
Before we move on to more personnel and evaluation of the team going into this bowl game and toward 2022, do we have any projections on the coaching staff?
Not necessarily, Mark. It's still kind of up in the air. I will go down on offensive coordinator. So the big talk for a long time was Joe Brady. It was talks of this being a done deal. He's going to Miami. Multiple people, insiders, were what I mean by insiders, meaning people in the NFL, people who are in the know on social media, former coaches. They're like, yeah, Joe Brady to Miami is a done deal. Things didn't work out with that. Now, there's varying degrees of why it didn't work out. Talks of him not willing to stay here longer than 2 seasons. Talks of him wanting this astronomical number of $3.1 million to coach offense, at Miami. He wants head coach money. Again, these are reports. I tend to believe that one because of where it came from. But that's a lot of damn money, Mark, just to coach offense. And I try not to throw any slight towards him, but in my opinion, he was a part of a group project at LSU, and they all put their pieces into it, and it worked out, and they got an A+ grade. He also benefited off of that by going and getting the Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator gig. It didn't really work out when he was out on his own. Then now he's in talks of either going back to college or staying in the NFL as an assistant. Again, it was a group project. I think he played a big part in it. I'm not trying to disrespect what he did. I've done more research into it. And yes, he did call some third downs. He did call red zone plays. So he did play a part in what they did. I'm not trying to discount that by any means, but I'm happy that we didn't fall for it to where we just, all right, whatever, do whatever it takes, pay them whatever it is to get them to come here. Because that LSU roster for years was ready to boom. It was ready offensively. They had recruited wide receiver at a very high level. They had a very good offensive line. Joe Brady himself was also Joe Burrow, excuse me, was a graduate. So all he took probably one class to stay eligible or something like that. Who knows if he even took the class if somebody wasn't doing it for him, so he could just focus all in on football. So that was the conversation with what happened with Joe Brady. Now, let's move on to a second option who is starting to climb higher and higher, and that is Kendall Briles, the current offensive coordinator over at Arkansas. Now, Kendall Briles has a really nice history as far as his what he's done. Again, off the football field, there's varying conversations about what happened there, but there's little to no fact about it. So there's really no need to talk about it because we don't know what actually went down. Okay. Baylor, the offensive scheme that he put together there at Baylor with RG3 and Petty, those kind of QBs that were killing it with the spread and the way they were able to incorporate the run game. It wasn't just a wazoo 5 wide approach. It was a very mixed, balanced approach to being able to run the football and have 1,000-yard rushers while also having multiple 1,000-yard receivers and a 4,000-yard QB, no matter who you plugged in there. I'll sign up for that any day, especially when we got TBD and Jake Garcia and Ja'Cory Brown coming back to back after that. I would love if we were able to replicate that here at the University of Miami. So I like him. I like what he brings to the table. I had to do a little bit more research on Kendall Briles because, again, like a lot of people, when you first hear certain terms like off the field issues, like anything dealing with women, you kind of want to just X that person out. Instead, I decided to do some research and look into it, and there wasn't much that indicted him that really went after him. It was more of his father situation, which has been handled. He's out the game. That guy's far away. We don't have to worry about that. What he's done when he was at FAU under Lane Kiffin was also admirable. So he's been in the Big 12. He's gone down to the Conference USA, and now he's done really well up in the SEC at Arkansas. And under Coach Pittman, big time offensive line guy who took over in Arkansas, the way that he has taken this quarterback who was thought of to not be able to throw the football and not he just be a run guy, and he's made him look really well. Arkansas was the talk of the town a quarter into this season, for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and Kendall Briles did a very, very good job with that. So it would be a good move. I think it would be, in baseball terms, I would call it a triple if he was able to make it in. The only thing that I would say could make it a home run is if we were to match him up with, Frank Pounce or James Coley, like another big time elite recruiter to work with him. Because the official talk is that McClendon, the wide receiver coach over at Oregon, has accepted the job at Miami to be wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator. So we do have that information as far as the staff. Now, Kendall Briles could come in and be the official OC. And then also, I would love to see who would bring in as running backs coach and running game coordinator, which a very familiar name, and James Coley, who's currently head of recruiting over at Texas A&M, has been in talks of coming to Miami as a running backs coach and a running game coordinator, which I could get with. I could get with him being a part of the group project. I can't get with him being the head of the group project. He doesn't need to be the presenter. He needs to be one of the other guys that's standing up there. When his page comes up on a PowerPoint, then he turns around and says, "Oh yeah, this is my partner reading off." He's not the one, leading the whole presentation. So, that's kind of what's going on right now. Then, in last place, as far as third place, you do have the conversation about Ken Dorsey, the QB coach and passing game coordinator up for the Buffalo Bills, has been in communication with the University of Miami about coming down and interviewing officially. He's done some Zooms, he's had some meetings. things of that nature. But as far as officially interviewing for offensive coordinator position at Miami, Ken Dorsey is in conversation, but he wants to wait until his season is done. And that could be a little bit of ways away. So I think Miami's going to go in a different direction only because we need to get on that recruiting trail with a staff in place because there is a second signing day that's about 6 weeks away that we need to have answers. I would say in about 2 weeks. We need to have answers about who our offensive coordinator is, who our defensive coordinator is in about 2 weeks.
We're here talking Miami football with all of you each and every Tuesday, courtesy the Wholesome One. He makes this happen. So please show your appreciation in any way possible. You can bypass YouTube if you'd like, Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App, or we got the Super Chat available right here. And leave your comments and your questions. I believe I heard in the last 24 hours that or so that DeAndre Johnson will not play in the bowl game, correct? Do we know about anybody else?
No. I know John Ford, nose guard John Ford, he announced that a while back. So Tyreek Stevenson is thought of to not be playing due to injury, but I don't know if that's been made official just yet. But I do know officially out is John Ford and DeAndre Johnson, which completely caught everybody off guard. I mean, I get both sides of the argument. Injury, you look at De'Aaron King. Trust me, I get it. But you also look at a guy like Bubba Bolden, who played one of his best games when he came back to play in that bowl game after missing a couple games towards the end of the season last year. And it really helped him. Okay, you look at Brevin Jordan, who was going on to the NFL. He played his very last game in that Oklahoma State Cheez-It Bowl game. So I see both sides of the argument. For a guy who, in my opinion, needs more film, needs better film out there, I get it. But it can be a blessing in disguise for the young men behind him, your Elijah Roberts, your Jafari Harveys, to get more snaps, your Chance Williams to get more snaps and have more opportunities to show us what they have when they've been just kind of thrown to the side as pass rush options as opposed to being every down defensive ends.
So Miami drops that game against Oklahoma State. They finish 8-4. I don't remember where they finished in the final top 25, probably right near the bottom of it, 23, right, wherever it was. I was starting to look it up here, regardless of whatever it was. Had they won that game, they finished 9-3 instead of 8-4, and they finish 14 or 15, let's say, something like that. So that means something to some people. Other people, that means absolutely nothing to them. They could care less. But there's no doubt that in bowl games, I think the bowl games are great. I love the matchups. I love to see teams that never play from different conferences, especially in the Power Five, play each other. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of games out there that I want to see and always do want to see during bowl time. The only question is, obviously, again, who's going to play and who's not going to play and what the motivation is going to be. So for this particular bowl, and then the other thing, regardless of who you root for, and how much value you put in a bowl game, this is college football. We get less college football than any sports fan of any sport. If you're an NBA fan, you get NBA basketball like 9 months. Baseball fan, it's all, you know, you get so many games in other sports. Even the NFL is up to 17 games now. There are precious few games. So you want to see your team play. I know I want to watch these teams play as many times as possible. So regardless, what do you think of the value of the game? They're playing a decent opponent. Not going to oversell them as some great opponent, but they're a decent quality opponent. One of the 40 or 50 best teams in the country. That's who they're going to play.
I was going to say, they could look at us and say the same thing. You know, it's an okay opponent. That's who we are. You know, we're just okay.
and you know how fans are. Some of them are going to say, well, we beat them 7 years ago in a bowl game. So anyway, we're not going to see these guys play until the first week of September. That's a long, long time. So if you love your team, you want to see them play. So
Right.
that said, who do you really want to see on both sides of the ball? Who are you really going to be zeroed in on to give a good performance, get that final look at them going into 22?
Man, what a question. I'm usually you got me on this one, Mark. Can I give you two on each side?
Oh, absolutely. Give me as many as you want.
All right. The first one on offense, I got to be honest with you, man, has to be Will Mallory. I was very down on him and not happy. Not happy about his production because catching the football is so mental that when you lose it, it's kind of hard to get it back. But he has shown toughness to be able to reel it back in, to be able to get it back. And now he was one of the better offensive players for the latter half of this season. One of the biggest things was getting him on that trick play up the sideline. And once you get him, I mean, it's like a 40-yard gain almost every time. And once we incorporated that in, where you got Knighton in as the Wildcat QB, he takes it, he gets the ace jet to Xavier Restrepo. Xavier Restrepo tosses it back to Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke hits Will Mallory down the sideline. And we've done it in Pittsburgh. We did it against Virginia Tech. We did it against Georgia Tech. It was whatever against Tallahassee. That play sparked him, and it got his confidence back up. He started catching touchdowns and things of that nature. So I'm really excited to see Will Mallory in this game because I think the momentum that he can bring, it's a confidence thing. And I think if he can get that confidence to roll into next season, which he has said he'll come back for his last year due to COVID, he has an extra season. So you see him come back next year, and I think he can roll. I think he can roll really well. But that's who I'm really zoomed in on offense as far as first up. Second up on offense, I'm gonna say for me, it's kind of a tie between these two receivers. Um, Bashard Smith and also looking at Romello Brinson. Here's why. Romello Brinson is the backup to single season leading receiver in receptions and yards, Rambo, who just left us. Charleston Rambo, who decided to opt out. That's the other person who's opted out of the bowl game. Because, I mean, literally, Mark, there is nothing left for him. He has the most receptions in a single season, most yards in a single season, most touchdowns in a single season for a wide receiver. So it's nothing left for him to do. Nothing else. Okay. So he's gonna sit out. Now the person behind him is Romello Brinson. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do because more likely than not, he's going to get his first career start for the University of Miami out at wide receiver. Okay, and I think he can do more than just the trick catches. I think he can do more than just securing as a possession receiver. I want to see what he can do against Division I cornerback as a starter and be able to get his confidence and build that chemistry with Tyler Van Dyke that they're going to take into next season. The exact same thing I'm going to say about Bashard Smith, man. I'm really excited about what he can do. And I'm hoping that under Coach Rhett, because Rhett Lashley has already left us. So I'm hoping that under Likens, Coach Bob Likens, who's going to be the offensive coordinator for our bowl game, I wonder how differently he is going to use Bashard Smith. Because under Rhett Lashley, he would come in for that ace jet, and people knew whenever he would get in the game, we would give him the ace jet. And so towards the end of the season, they just started tackling him in the backfield because they all knew we're going to just do an ace jet with him. He's played some running back for us and some slot. Okay, and I think he would be great on special teams as a punt kick returner. But Jacoby George is another young man who has been flashing on the return game and spurts as a receiver. So basically, I say the young wide receiving core and Will Mallory are the things I'm looking for on the offensive side of the ball against Washington. Defensively, I'm ready to see, really ready to see this scheme because under T-Rob, who's an SEC coach, he's a 3-down front coach. So I think he's going to try to run the 4-2-5 as best as he can. But he's from the Will Muschamp tree. You know, he was Will Muschamp's defensive backs coach when they were at Florida a decade ago. He was his defensive coordinator when they were at South Carolina together. So he's from that 3-down, odd front, very aggressive background. So I'm excited to see how this defense is going to play under the tutelage of T-Rob and how he is going to scheme this team, how the defensive backs are going to play with when their position coach is the DC. You know, are we going to see a bunch of press man coverage, blitz in your face kind of defense? Because that's what we like at Miami. Or are we going to see some odd fronts out of and a bunch of, X and TE stunts and things of that nature? So it's not really a specific player. I'm really keen on how this defense is going to play under T-Rob and what he's going to bring to the table that is going to be different than the tutelage under Manuel Diaz the last couple of seasons here, better half of this decade.
Very cool. Very cool. Maccabee, appreciate the contribution there, sir. Thank you so much for that. I can't wait. The only thing I like about the off season, I think, is having you just review each position, each unit just exhaustively. Because I was going to ask you about the offensive line, but we'll wait for the off season. I want the full scale run through of every position, so we will get to that during the off season.
It's always cool to do that where it's just off the dome. It's no notes and that. It's just like, yeah, this player and that player, and he's this height, and he's from that town, and he came here and he played here for this. It's up there, Mark, and I get to talking, and it flows.
Folks, I'm going to let you know real quick here, and I know many of you aren't interested or concerned, but for those of you that are, 5:30 Iowa Live on the Iowa channel, 7 o'clock Nebraska Live, Nebraska channel. Then at 8:30, we're doing a big Georgia-Michigan blowout. Going to have like 7, 8 media guests come through. We're going to talk Georgia-Michigan matchup for as long as we can on the main channel. We're live at 8:30 Eastern time.
That's in our home stadium. It's in
That's
Hard
right.
Rock. Yeah,
that's right.
I wish I could be there. I think that game is going to be I think it's going to be a good game, man. I know you can't stand the maize and blue, but I think it's going to be a real good game.
Well, you know what? I'm going to try to take some kind of poll to figure out how many of my viewers are from different fan bases. I want to try to get a fairly accurate measure of how many people come from. I think I might have more Michigan viewers than any other fan base. I believe I do.
I mean, hey, you would know it's your channels.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
We got MDB coming in. Off topic, but I think Mario is not interested in Terrence Lewis, and I can't blame him if he's not. Seems like he not highly sought after anymore.
Mark, this is a tough one for me. It really is, because I have always been in the business of relationships. I'm in the business of people building, helping young men, try not to judge people. You never know where they come from, why they make the decisions that they do. You don't even know. We weren't there, so we don't know what actually happened, as opposed to, just like with the Avante Williams situation. Plenty of people were here and taking their shots and had plenty of things to say about it. And then when everything came out, it's like, oh, okay. It's like, why are we so easy to pass judgment until a lot of information is brought out? Okay, this T2 situation, it hits home because he's from Miami, he's from the crib, but nobody in the Big Three wanted to touch him, Mark. Nobody. The man had to go way to Maryland to get any love, and then when he got there, they casted him away. But I think under Coach Cristobal, this would be a great opportunity for us to bring a hometown young man in and surround him with people who can help him, okay, can help, and just get to the bottom of whatever these situations are get the truth, and really help him understand the past is the past. The minute you walk through that door, we're going to judge you based off what you do here from this moment forward. We're going to surround you and put you in our U Network program, which is where we connect our young men to the alumni players. So we're going to put you in our life after football, our 40-year decision, like Cam Underwood likes to talk about, the 40-year decision program here at the University of Miami. Because these are our people, Mark. These are our guys. And when I say about our people, Mark, I'm talking football guys. White, black, Spanish, Asian, Chinese, it doesn't matter. You're a football guy. You're from here. I understand you had to go away. I understand there's a lot that's said about you from other people. But we want to bring you in. We want to sit down. We want to talk to you. We want to help you grow as a man and as a person. And I think that stuff is so important because, we only could do, the playing on the field for so long. But being able to have the knowledge to go out and do media, like what we're doing right now. My playing days are done, but I'm able to do this. I'm able to articulate myself because people fed into me. People wanted to help me grow. I wouldn't be the Dwayne Holloway I am today if it wasn't for certain coaches who helped me along the way and mentors, some my same age, some a little older than me, some drastically older than me. And when it comes to these kind of situations, these young men need the help. They don't need to be judged. They don't need to be knocked down and need to be taught. They need to be helped. And they need to have people bring them in and let's talk about this and let's help you grow as a person. So I'm hoping and praying that we aren't shooing away T2. We're not shooing away any of those young men. T2 is the reason we were talking about him because of the question, but just like Avante, I was on here, bam in the door, like, don't just cast him away. Let's figure it out. Now look, it's behind us. He's on a team. Man had his first career interception this season. If we just cast him away and say, no, whatever, kick him to the curbside, who knows what happens to these young men? Okay, so we gotta, before we pass judgment, those in the chat and those on the hashtag rewatch squad on this, man. Just remember, you needed help from somebody at some point too. Okay, let's not do that to our own. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that conversation to let that young man know, we're not ignorant of what you've done in the past. We're not
Correct.
saying it's not important or severe or anything, but it's over. And the reason we have you here is we still value you as a football player and as a person. And if we treat you going forward based on everything that you've done in the past, then this is no good. This isn't how you handle that. You acknowledge, you forgive, and then you move past it and it's over. Or else if you're going to treat them and hold that against them going forward, then you might as well not even bring them in, because that's not how you handle people. That's not how you treat people. That's not how you give a fresh start to somebody, by holding stuff against them from the past. You move on. And if that person didn't change, if they're going to continue to do stupid things, and then you deal with it then. But you give them a fresh start. You give them a reset, just like all of us need at times. And there you go. It's just like from the positive standpoint too. You hire a Mario Cristobal.
Mm-hmm.
What he did at Oregon and in the past earned him this job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to his credit. It's on his record. It earned him his job. But if he goes out there and goes 3-9 next year, and then he goes 4-8, well, it doesn't matter that he won a Rose Bowl at Oregon. That doesn't matter. It only matters what he does here.
Absolutely. And then if we just were to take him off of his past and look at his FIU record and say this guy is a sub 500 coach, and he lost a hair picking bowl against Marshall back in 2010, then maybe you don't give him a chance. But Oregon gave him a chance based on the new information. They judged him based on what he did in his time at Alabama and his time at Oregon. Now Miami gave him another chance based on what he did at Oregon and based on what we project him to be. And sometimes people just need, there's no such thing as just second chance, just a third chance. It's dozens and dozens of chances. And you have to understand that. And I think once you are in the people business. Once you understand that, and again, another thing, Mark, once people have also done that for you, once you've had someone willing to look you in the eye and say, "Yeah, no problem. I understand you might have had a bad day, things not worked out. I'll give you another chance," and life goes on.
Yeah. As Jesus stated in the Bible, when he was asked how many times do you forgive somebody, he said 7 times 70.
Yep.
So what he meant by that is not 490. That
Right.
wasn't the point. The point was
Right.
basically a million, infinity. Just like don't
Mhm.
count it.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you let people walk over you. That doesn't mean you don't hold them accountable. Of course you do all those things.
Absolutely.
So there's a balance. There is a good judgment. All right. Good stuff. So we had somebody mentioned here, a number of people looking at the transfer portal. Is there anybody that's gone into the transfer portal across the country that's caught your eye?
Whew. Um, there's a lot of big time name guys in there, Mark. I honestly don't know if a lot of them would necessarily fit Miami, though. I mean, you got the young man Casey Thompson from Texas. We already have a quarterback, so it's like that really doesn't help. You have the TCU running back, the former 5-star. Can't think of his name right now, but
Zach Evans.
yeah, Zach Evans. I think that would be a nice addition, but he's been a little sporadic, and it's not necessarily off the football field. I'm just saying, like his production. You think him going to the Big 12 at TCU and a 5-star recruit that he would dominate, and that's not what had been happening there. Um, our linebackers situation, I thought it would have been great to have a guy like because I know BJ Jennings' little brother, um, Bradley, I believe is his brother's name, who was at Maryland, big time recruit as far as like a true 3-4 inside guy. But we already messed that up with his brother, so that wouldn't happen either. So not necessarily anybody in the portal right now. I think we're going to look to the help in recruiting as far as the freshmen coming up, becoming freshmen, seniors becoming freshmen, and I think that's what we're going to turn to for our help.
We've got a nice crowd here. Appreciate everybody being here with about 235 on the line, and want to remind everyone, just don't come in and enjoy it yourself each and every Tuesday, but let other people know that love Miami football. And this is for all college football fans. So obviously it's Miami, and we're going to expect that most people here are Miami football fans. But because of what I do, I think across the board with all these teams, I tend to have a little bit more of a diverse fan base show up for all these different shows, and that's a good thing. We want to hear from other fans, other fan bases, and you can get educated on Miami football. All right. We've got Sadrack has a question concerning the identity of Mario Cristobal from the mental mindset for this team. If you could
Ooh.
expand, if possible, however you're going to take that question. I didn't know necessarily how I would take it. So, um, you know, I'll ask it this way, and maybe this is not the way it was intended. Every coach has a different type approach, personality, strengths, weaknesses. How do you
Mhm.
describe Mario Cristobal in regards to his approach to being a head coach and relating to his team?
Number one, as far as the number one thing is going to be about the people. The people, the people, the people. I've talked about that before. It was something he always reiterates is that it's going to take all of us and what he wants to build as a program. Now you talk about him as a football coach, it's going to start from the offensive line. He's going to build a program from the inside out, a la a Michigan, a la a Georgia, that kind of mindset as far as we're going to be stout and recruit and be in your face and nasty on the fronts, on the offensive line and the defensive line. Why? What was Mario Cristobal? An All-American what? Say it with me. Offensive lineman. Okay, he was a guard early on in his career. He was a tackle latter to his senior season at Miami, a right tackle. Okay, he is a two-time national champion, 87 and also in 91. 87, he was a backup, and in 91, he was a starter at right tackle. All right, so this guy, this is what he does. being a tenacious grinder is what he does. All right. Now, there's plenty of ways you can take that. Are we going to be the 2002 Auburn team where we're just trying to run it down your throat? I'm hoping we do not go in that direction. I'm hoping we have the right mindset on O line, D line, but we're going to be multiple offensively scheme wise and multiple defensively scheme wise. That's what Coach Cristobal has said. We need to be multiple. I need to be able to pass the ball when it's needed. I need to be able to run the ball when it's needed. But at any time, we need to be able to run that ball. So we're going to understand that we're probably going to be leaning on like 70-30 to run. A lot of us may not like it, but guess what? He's going to have the right offensive line up there. Okay, he's going to have an elite offensive line. And I think he can build that within 2 cycles, Mark. What I mean by 2 cycles is December, February, December. So I'm thinking by this time next year, we'll already have a different looking offensive line. They're going to play on a different level, and they're going to be moving people because that's what sets it apart, Mark, is truly having people movers on that offensive line. How is he a 3-time national champion if we won in 87 and 91, we didn't win again until 2001? And he was a GA at that time. So I don't know if you're trying to count him being a Butch Davis's GA.
87, 91, 80. Who won in 89?
Are we 89 too?
83, 87, 80, 83. There's 5. 83, 87, 89, 91.
2001.
Yeah. So 80. I'll double check. Yeah, that's who I'm coming up with in my brain.
Is he an 89?
Yes, the 89 team beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl and won the national championship.
Okay, so is he 89 and 91? Okay, so then he's a 2-time 89 and 91. Then. Yeah, that might be it. He's 89, 91. Because I know he's a 2-timer. It's just that simple. He's a 2-timer. Yeah, so there's that. Either way, back to what I was saying about Coach Cristobal and what he brings to the table. So, he's counting 2015 as a position coach. Oh, okay.
Okay. Alabama. Gotcha.
Anyhow, you're gonna have a team that I think one of the things we're gonna have to be mindful is he's going to take time to build this culture. Now, I went back and rewatched the video, Mark, that you broke down, that you uploaded last night, where I asked, it was titled, Give Coach Cristobal Time. But if you watch the video, I'm saying just give him time to flip the roster, not give him 2 to 3 years to be good. That's not what, because people in the comment section are like, look, we're paying $10 million. We shouldn't give him that much time. It's like, no, I understand where my timeline is, what I'm talking about as far as timeline is. As we know, the University of Miami has had a team on the football field 3 of the last 4 years that has been good enough to beat the Coastal winning champion. Okay, so therefore they have the ability. It may not be consistent. It may not be overly talented, but on certain given times, they have the ability to be Coastal, at least division winning champions. Okay, what I believe we need is the consistency to take it to a different level. Consistently showing up and tackling at a high level on the defensive line, on defense, period. Catching the football consistently at wide receiver and tight end. Making the right throws. Pass pro consistently. Okay. Running game consistently. Holding on to the football. Those kind of things. Doing the little things the right way on a consistent basis. And I truly believe the University of Miami will win the Coastal. for the next couple of seasons. It's that simple. Now, they have to go out there and prove that. But you have seen that we have the ability to get it done. Have we had the tutelage? No. Do we have the stacked roster? Debatable. But a lot of people view it as, oh, we already have a roster to win the Coastal. We're the best team in the Coastal every year. Just go out there, roll your helmet out, and that U turns into this big bright sun. The other team melts. Everyone's scared. No, that's not how it works. That is not how it works. Okay, that's not how. And then moving forward, I mean, Virginia Tech had a pretty solid hire. Virginia went out and had a nice hire, and they're going to go offensively instead of defensively. So we're going to see what that's going to do to that program moving forward. So it's the Coastal is growing. Okay, the Coastal is growing, and we need to be able to take heed of the Coastal, take complete control of it, and be able to pounce on the fact that Clemson might have another one of those 9-ish seasons next year, 9-10 win-ish seasons next year. We got to be able to take advantage of that and get on it. And we have a coach who has done it at Oregon. We have a coach who has a plan, who's going to be fed and supported like no other coach in program history has. I mean, $8 million to build the staff, Mark, that's a lot of money to build a staff and to match that up with a pretty solid roster that we have here at Miami. So when you ask, what are we going to get out of our head coach as far as mindset, this is going to be a very, very well disciplined, organized, and focused program. That's what you're going to get from my, and it's going to be tenacious. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be grimy. It's not going to be showboating and dancing, because pride and swag, that is a byproduct of the confidence you get from your preparation, from your high conditioning, from your great weight room training, and from your togetherness as a program. Not being swag like it's a t-shirt and you just throw it on and say the you invented swagger. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean in 2021? Now, 2001, 2000, maybe 1980. Okay, yeah, you're right. We had a brash brand of football that people loved and gravitated to watch, it was polarizing. You either loved it or you hated it. And some people did a little bit of both, depending on what era you're talking about. But I don't think he's trying to come here and recreate that. He wants to come here and modernize that, and to have these young men understand that when you walk into Carol Sofer and you see all these championships and you see all these All-American, you had nothing to do with that. It's a lot of pressure to carry this year. It's a lot of pressure from the past. But that doesn't give you anything to boast your chest out about, that I'm at Miami and I'm going to kick you behind. No. You got to put in the work to do that. You need to be well prepared to be able to do that. And it's our job, coach's job, to put you in that situation. We just want you to show up and be willing to go 110%. So hopefully that answers your question. Mark, you're out. I can't hear you.
I had a few things going on here, so I turned my mic down. Yeah, excellent rundown of Cristobal's background and what he brings to the table. When you brought up Virginia, it reminded me that I just heard a few days ago that Brennan Armstrong, their outstanding quarterback, is going to be back next year. So that certainly helps them considerably. Kenny Pickett's gone. Other top quarterbacks in the conference are gone. Sam Howell and others. So TBD, it's easy to think, hey, this guy's taken off. If he's going to be this good as a freshman, he's good to go. And all of that's true. The hope and the expectation for the future is through the ceiling, and it should be, but he still has a lot to learn.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that Miami fans, that we can be confident in TVD, but there's no need to be overbearing and Heisman Trophy and top 10 pick. Let's allow the young man to grow. Let's get him an OC. Let's get him a quarterback's coach, and let's see where we can go from there with it. I think we need to have a wait and see approach because we don't need all that external pressure when it comes to him. Yes, he did very well this past season. He played well over like 7 games or so. And in his sample size, it was very good. And we appreciate what he brought to the table. And as far as breaking records and throwing the ball all over the yard, we appreciate that. But all of this, like he's a top 10 pick, he got the strongest arm in college football. Uh, let's chill on that, man. Let's allow him to grow and get better before we start adding all this extra pressure to the young man for no apparent reason.
Charles Johnson, I'm right there with you. When I looked at it a few weeks ago, I came to the same conclusion that the ACC had the best quarterback collection in the country, which I'm not going to say it surprised me because I knew all those guys were doing what they were doing. But once that was the first time I really thought about it and went through Devin Leary at North Carolina State and Kenny Pickett and TVD and Brennan Armstrong and Sam Howell. And it's like 6 or 7 quarterbacks had outstanding seasons in the conference. So the conference isn't that good, but quarterback extremely strong.
Isn't it crazy, Mark? I think you went down like a list of the fact that was it the Virginia guy that didn't even make the top 3 in our conference?
Yeah, so
or the NC State guy.
Pickett would have been first, and then was Howell second and TVD on the third team. I think it would have been Devin Leary. Hit like a 35-5 TD to pick ratio. Didn't even make
top 3. Yeah. It happens. You know, we got to keep that going.
Brennan Armstrong in the top. Whatever it was, you got about 6 deep of quarterbacks who could easily be all conference somewhere else.
Absolutely. And great quarterback play it leads to these really good games. I mean, the NC State back and forthness, the Virginia, even though I still think we should have won that game, but I think we should have won every game except for Bama. That's just me, though. The back and forthness of what happened with Virginia, the shootout at Pitt. I mean, it was some real good stuff. I mean, this Pitt team is going to turn out to be, I think, an 11-win Pittsburgh team. One of their losses was to this 7-5 Miami team. You know, so it is it's kind of mind blowing sometimes when you think about it.
Yeah, this Pitt team's going to take on Michigan State minus Kenny Pickett, so we'll see what they've got at backup quarterback, and it's a lot to ask of them, even though Michigan State's going to be playing without their Heisman Trophy candidate as well at running back, but it's a different position. But a lot to ask. But if they are able to win that New Year's 6 Peach Bowl game, they're 12-2, and they finish in the top 7 or 8 in the country, and Miami beat them.
Yep.
So that's what's possible.
Very sloppy, weird game, but we got them. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the game that we play, man. You can't just. I don't know about Travis Hunter being listed as good. He's all right. I don't know about good. Cunningham is pretty solid, but yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh, you're talking Jordan Travis, Florida State.
Yeah, there we go. Jordan Travis. He's meh. I would take the Georgia Tech guy over him because when that Georgia Tech guy is healthy, he is a problem. Sims. He's Billy Russell he answered the question about what he thinks Coach Cristobal brings to the table, and I really like that. Put it in a lot simpler terms than I did. You know, Super Mario will bring toughness, accountability, and a passion for perfection. And Mark, you know, we've talked about this for years at this point. What could Miami become if they had an attention to detail level of places like Iowa, of a Wisconsin, just that consistent Virginia Tech, like just a consistent, tough out team that is not going to beat themselves, that knows where they're supposed to be, plays sound football across the board, and truly gets the game, understands where they're supposed to be. And you mix that with the elite recruiting area, you're talking about a perennial 10-win team. And that's all we in the Miami Hurricanes fan base have asked. We don't ask to be national champions every year. Okay, what Nick Saban has brought to the table in college football will never be replicated. That's just it's completely unfair to hold people to that candle, okay, of what he's done. I think he's won 10 games for what, 15 years now, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again, Mark. But, well, at least we won't. Maybe our grandkids or something. I'll see it. Well, your great grandkids, my grandkids probably see it. You know, somebody at Toledo or something. I don't know. But the standard, I do understand, is to be in a championship game every year. But the standard, and more, if we were to put it in modern terms, the standard is to be a perennial playoff team. Sometimes you fall short of making the playoffs. Sometimes you're in it. Sometimes you make it to the championship game, and sometimes you win it. But being in the conversation of Ohio State, this year of Michigan, of Georgia, and Oklahoma, okay, being where this team, this Miami team, is a playoff team. They run the ACC Coastal, they run the ACC, and this is the team you don't want to play towards the end of the season because they continue to get better. It's that simple.
I'll throw this one in as a stat. So Nick Saban, 7-6 his first year in Tuscaloosa. Then he's won 10 games, and usually a lot more than 10 games, but 10 games minimum since 2008. If you throw out the Luke Fickell interim coach year at Ohio State, they've won at least 10 games every year since 2005.
Sweet baby Rays. I can only imagine. I've never witnessed Miami or something like that. You have, Mark. I mean, the 80s, we were really dominant. The 90s, people throw the 90s in there, but the 90s was kind of a up and down. I mean, the sanctions
it was the beginning
destroyed
of the
us. Right, beginning of the 90s as well. But by like 93, 94, it started to derail.
The 94 team played for the national championship at the Orange Bowl against Nebraska and lost. Right. That was kind of the end of the dynasty for that period of time.
But you talk about from like 79 to 89. Oh my God. It was must-see TV. Again, if the playoffs were around then, Miami would be known as a playoff caliber team. They were always going to be in the conversation at least. And I get it,
Think about this while I'm out spitting out these kind of statistics. Think about this as a Miami fan. The worst conference record since 2004 being 7-1. The worst. That's what Ohio State's done in the Big Ten. That's their worst record since 2004 in the Big Ten. 7-1.
And that was what, 2011 when they had.
Oh well, yeah. I'm taking the that's the Ryan Day.
That's the outlier.
The 1 year that they missed. That's been their basement. 7-1 in the Big Ten. They've never lost more than one game in the conference since 2004.
Wow. And I think that would be beautiful. I mean, if we're going to take all of the coastal teams at face value, again, until proven otherwise, we got to go out there and dominate it. But if you were to put Miami's name next to any of these, you would think that's what Miami would be doing in the ACC Coastal. But we haven't. And it's just that simple, man. It's just that simple. We have it, and we have to prove it.
We appreciate everybody being here. Please, on your way out, hit the like button. Head on over to the Wholesome Ones channel. Check out his latest content at a live stream last night, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Check that out.
And I have some uploads. Well, I got this from you, Mark, where you kind of break down the big 3-hour thing and you make it into little increments. So throughout the week, I re-upload what happened on Monday, but I'll have the call-in portion. I'll have the film review portion so that they don't have to sit there and watch a whole 3-hour live. They can watch it in like 30 or 45-minute increments. So tonight, you'll have my opening statements and an update on recruiting. Tomorrow night, you'll have the call-in portion, and then Thursday night, you'll have the film review. Next week, we will go all in on preparing. Of course, we got the show with Mark, but on Monday, we'll go all in on preparing for Washington State, Wazoo, and then I'll be here next week, Tuesday, to do the same thing, breaking it down, talking to you. And then next week, Wednesday, I'll have my film review where I do a breakdown of Washington State and what they bring to the table, and players who will be in it and players who won't, and things to watch out for and stuff like that. And then next week, Friday, I will be live for the game. So, we'll have a watch party and go over that kind of stuff. So there's that.
Okay, Wholesome One, we appreciate it. You have a great rest of your week. And congratulations for everything that you're accomplishing, whether that be on your YouTube channel or in your profession, which has been outstanding. So congratulations there. And
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you back here next week, and we'll tear apart that Washington State game.
Absolutely, man. As always, go Canes. God bless y'all.